Winston Churchill said, "The maxim of the British people is business as usual." But they can't continue with business as usual to stay competitive in the global economy. How many modern British products do you use in your daily life? Compare that to the vast goods they were known for over 100 years ago. These 12 recommendations will provide guidance on how the UK can improve upon just business as usual. The UK enjoyed a large first mover advantage at the start of the Industrial Revolution, but they need to evolve in order to stay near the top of global trade. That evolution has started to happen as they've shifted from a manufacturing-focused economy to a service-based one. But a nation can't survive on the service industry alone. They need to have tangible manufactured goods to be exported out. The problem to be analyzed is that there has been a decline in manufacturing in the United Kingdom. This has led to decreases in exports and innovation for the UK. Consultants Ping and Meyer have come up with 12 recommendations for enhancing UK export competitiveness. We will discuss and build upon the recommendations in the following slides. The intended audience for these recommendations are high-level decision makers, such as government policymakers or managers of global firms. And these recommendations span both resource-based views and institution-based views. Recommendation 1. Managers must consider outsourcing or discontinuing resources and capabilities that are not meeting the VRI model, unless they contribute to corporate strength, not just simple sales volume. Recommendation 2. Managers should focus specialized knowledge on unique opportunities, leveraging unique UK strengths in design, creativity, and R&D. Examples of British design strengths are equestrian products and trench coats. Recommendation 3. Managers should understand competitors can easily imitate manufacturing systems, but they cannot easily replicate a mixture of manufacturing and services. British engine maker Rolls-Royce can be used as a model for this paradigm. Recommendation 4. The UK has a huge disadvantage compared to other countries, since the government cannot provide direct subsidies to companies, unlike countries like China and the USA. An alternative is to have governments provide funding to support manufacturing and future technology platforms. Recommendation 5. Focusing on low cost will result in a crisis of manufacturing productivity and may generate impressive job growth in the beginning, but in the long term, this growth will not be sustainable. Recommendation 6. Firms and governments must understand the only way to build high-end productivity-based capabilities is by building high-level human capital to support it. Recommendation 7. The uncertainty of the UK leaving the EU causes turmoil in markets and to the traders and investors behind them. These investors come to the UK for a base to serve the EU markets. The dilemma regarding what will happen to the trade rules between the UK and EU continues to inject high risk into all investments. Recommendation 8. Firms from FTA member countries typically increase their trade and investment activities due to the tremendous confidence these free trade agreements bring. Recommendation 9. Government should remove loopholes and make tax regimes competitive, stable, fair, and generally accepted by the population. Recommendation 10. Half of UK exports are generated by foreign multinationals, so it is crucial that governments continue to attract inward FDI as a way to increase exports. Recommendation 11. Unless highly specialized, multicultural human capital is able to freely move into and out of the UK, manufacturing and services will not thrive. Unfortunately, The current UK political environment is currently not welcomed skilled immigrants. Recommendation 12. Lifting regulatory trade barriers facilitates UK exports and thus generates more jobs. The following provides a high-level summary of the recommendations presented. Look for the right combination of export demand and rarity. Remove bureaucratic barriers to trade with the EU. And cease implementation of institutional-based barriers when it comes to trade. How many UK products do you use today? Most respondents could not name a single made in UK product that they are currently using. But examples would be Dunlop tires and Cadbury chocolate. And then, if you lived in the year 1900, how many UK products would you have used back then? Respondents suggested that they would have consumed British tea, used British textiles, and read British-based literature. From a resource-based view, what can UK firms and their managers do to enhance export competitiveness? Managers should base these strengths on the VRI of the sources. Firms should locate and influence distinct, knowledge-based niches, and managers need to determine ways to combine manufacturing and services to create value for the firm. From an institution-based view, what can UK government policymakers do to enhance export competitiveness? The government can support pre-competitive manufacturing capabilities and future technology platforms, and strengthen human capital to enhance advanced manufacturing. Policymakers can also remove uncertainty by affirming the UK's commitment to remain in the European Union and by negotiating more free trade agreements, including efforts to lift regulatory trade barriers, such as the EU arms embargo with China. Policymakers can push firms to strive for the high end, rather than supporting competition on the low cost simply for the sake of jobs. Policymakers can also enhance export competitiveness by creating a competitive, stable, and fair tax regime, and by facilitating mobility of highly qualified individuals into and out of the UK. So what specific actions do you recommend that they undertake? Ping suggests firms need to attract more inward foreign direct investment and promote more outward FDI to increase export competitiveness. In the short run, policymakers can remove uncertainty by confirming the UK's commitment to remain in the EU. In addition, they should negotiate more free trade agreements with countries in need of made in UK products. In the medium run, policymakers should make upward mobility into and out to the UK more feasible. In the long run, the UK government should create a more competitive, stable, and fair tax structure, as well as bring more inward FDI and encourage outward FDI. What recommendations exist for the UK under an analysis based on Michael Porter's diamond theory? The UK doesn't have large natural resources to tap into, so they need to focus on the development of high-performing human capital as the country's factor endowments. The automotive industry is one that is in high demand domestically. Industries with lots of domestic rivalry in the UK are fashion and the automotive industry once again. When it comes to manufacturing with lots of supporting industries, good matches are the aerospace industry and the automotive industry. According to this analysis, the automotive, fashion, and aerospace industries are good candidates for global industries in the UK. Now we will perform a SWOT analysis on the UK's exports. Their strength is deep niches and high-value human capital. The UK is also a global export leader in services. Their weaknesses are expensive labor and high tax rates. Opportunities for the UK include turning reliance on service industries into a strength. Threats are China, the UK's EU status, and competitiveness on the low end of manufacturing. The following items on the slide are the UK's current export strategy in 2018. Another large issue going on with the bloc of countries is Brexit. From an economic perspective, Brexit could further reduce the UK's export competitiveness and is a large cause for concern. The UK manufacturing industries need to be rebuilt if they want to be competitive in the global economy. UK firm managers and government policymakers can use resource and institution-based recommendations to help enhance that export competitiveness.